coming to see my second video of the real life foster carer. I've been really overwhelmed by the support that I've had from you guys from everything I've been posting this week. I've been really excited to get this video out there for you because this is going to be all about why we've decided to foster in the first place and what it was that really spurred us on to take the leap and make the decision to get in contact with our fostering agency. So there's so many different reasons why people foster, obviously. I think we've all got the common denominator of being a little bit bonkers, but apart from that, we all do have our own sort of wants and little things in particular that kind of flip that switch for us. I know ladies who have fertility issues and that sort of leads them down this path. Lots of care leavers decide to go on to do this. People foster siblings, family members. People work with children for years and years and years and eventually get to a time in their life where they feel like they are ready to open their home. Lots of people do it once all their children have flown the nest, and they like to feel wanted and they want to do that again but aren't sort of in a position to have their own children, so they want to give back and open up their homes once their children are older and gone. And then there's people like me who just really wanted to make a difference and do this from the off, really, and make this my passion and my career. And yeah, so that's where I am today. So I'll go back quite far actually to before we even made the decision to foster, was when me and Nico were travelling Southeast Asia. And initially when we came back from Southeast Asia, after seeing the child poverty, the child exploitation and everything that we did experience whilst we was there, we thought that that was the path we was going to choose. We wanted to go back to these countries, perhaps with a charity, for a bit longer to make a little bit more of a change. We looked into adopting a child from those countries, and none of it quite fit. It just didn't quite feel right. And along the journey of trying to find the statistics and find out what it was that we wanted to do, statistics from the UK started creeping up. And the level of children in need in the UK, looked after children. Now, fostering had never been something I had ever thought of. You hear the By the Bridge adverts on the radio and things like that. And I mean, to me, social services were an organisation that got involved in your family when something was going wrong. We had a foster child that I knew of in my school when I was growing up, but it was never explained to us pupils in a way of giving us a level of understanding to support that child. You know, it had always been sort of kept at arm's length, fostering. And that's one of the other reasons why I'm trying to break this barrier down and give you all of this information so that you can start to see it differently, whether it's something you see that you want to do or just to help your neighbours and people who are sort of doing this to help these children. Educate your children about perhaps looked after children that are in your schools. So yeah, as I was looking into it more, and I took it upon myself to get a little bit more of an insight, the statistics in the UK are shocking. The number of children in need, the number of looked after children against the number of foster carers is heartbreaking. We're in desperate need of foster carers, and it isn't just a matter of, you know, neglected children, assaulted children. It's a broad spectrum of help that we need, and it isn't just about full-time foster care, it's respite, it's all little things like that. And I was really taken aback by what a huge hub social services was and the fostering side of everything was. And so yeah, I started looking into it, and I can remember half mentioning it to Nico one day, and he was like, yeah, you know, yeah, maybe, I wouldn't be adverse to it. And I mentioned it to a couple of my friends, and the initial response from everybody who I told back then was, oh, you've got to give them back though. Or don't they all come like smash your house up and stuff? Or like, or, you know, everybody had an anecdote. My aunt used to foster, and yeah, the kids scratched her car, broke all her windows, and yeah, run away with her purse. Everybody had something to say, and I really wasn't hearing many positive stories at this point. So I was sat one night watching a documentary about a YMCA and a lady called Rose. It was a Channel 4 documentary, and it was a lady called Rose who run this YMCA for young mums and their babies. And she was so inspiring. She was absolutely amazing. The work that she did for these girls and their children was just, honestly, still now it gives me goosebumps thinking about this lady and the respect that these girls had for these women, and the changes that we saw in these young girls because they had a strong role model and because all they needed was a little bit of guidance, acceptance and love. And these children, these young women were coming on leaps and bounds. And at that point was when I knew that I really wanted to make a difference to young people's lives. So that was when I really asked Nico, and I said to him, I honestly think I'm going to look into fostering. I really would like to start fostering children. And I think he must have seen it in my eyes at that point that I was serious about this time, and I had looked into it. And he said, yeah, do it. Yeah, I want to do it. I'm ready to do it. And I was so excited. And I think for the first time, the beauty of it was knowing for the first time that I had found something that I really wanted to do and that I was really, really passionate about. And yeah, any other comment after that, I took on the chin. I didn't tell many people after that what we were doing until we really started looking into it, because it is hard, and I imagine some of you watching will have had that. People talk about their negative experiences more than the positive experiences on anything. That's the British culture. That's just, we love to moan. But my advice would be, if anybody does come to you and suggest fostering, it's not for you. It might not be for you, but let them work it out on their own. Let them find the information out on their own, because it is a really special thing to do. So yeah, that is how we decided that we were bonkers enough to become foster carers. That's kind of a joke with some of the women that I've met through it, is that we are all a little bit mad, and you have to be to do it. But I'm so glad that we got to that decision. I'm so grateful for the experiences of going to Asia and seeing that. And yeah, coming back here, what I'll do is I'll link in some statistics now for you to just have a look through, because it is really shocking. And if you've got babies of your own, you won't realise how many looked after children they could be interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And I think that is really important, that we start educating our own children, that there are other children out there whose lives may be a little bit different, but if we give them a little bit of understanding, it might make that looked after child's life a little bit easier. And yeah, so that's our story. Thanks for listening. I hope it might have inspired some of you. I hope it gives you a little bit more of understanding as to why. I had lots of questions, and I get lots of sort of under breath comments. Oh, can't she have children? Can they not have children? Da, da, da. Or do you think she had a bad upbringing? And it's not about that. It's not about that at all. And I just think it's really nice to get it out there for you guys to understand a little bit of why I'm doing it so young, why I chose to do this. And yeah, that it is great, and I'm so glad that I made that decision that day, and I'm very grateful for Nico for being so supportive of it. And here's to many more years of fostering. So thanks guys, see you later.